Josh, what was the first truck you worked out of, or first vehicle you worked out of?
Had the glorious 97 GMC Jimmy with ladder racks on top, but it was not optimal, but it got the job done. I think I put a 32-foot ladder on there one time.
Oh yeah, yeah, we did do that. Was I with you with that one?
I think so. Yeah.
We had to go. We ended up going across a bridge that we shouldn't have gone across. I think
Benjamin Franklin Bridge.
Yeah.
You reaching out your hand over top and just holding it down so it didn't fall off in mid traffic. Trying to take a 32-foot ladder to downtown Philadelphia.
That was not fun. Yeah, that was.
We
sketchy
got there though.
Because the reason that's sketchy, if people haven't can't imagine that, a 32-foot ladder is what,
16 feet at least.
It's probably
16 to 17 feet.
It's probably close to 18 feet long, and then a Jimmy it's just like a Chevy Blazer basically.
Yeah.
And Josh had the 2-door variety, right?
No, 4. I had
Did you have
4-door?
4-door?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, that's right. And then it's just a short wheelbase, so a lot of the ladder is sticking behind and in front of the vehicle, so there's not much for it to rest on. Man, that was sketchy. I do remember that.
And it was bouncing. Any bump you hit, it's just bouncing. And we took the wrong turn in Philadelphia. This was before there was. I don't think I had a GPS at the time. I don't know if I was using MapQuest, and we didn't know Philly that well.
Yeah.
And we went down the wrong road. We went over the Benjamin Franklin Bridge, which is a huge bridge, I believe, to New Jersey. We had to turn around and go back over the bridge, and dude, we were flying because everyone it was morning traffic. People were moving, and then we had to maneuver through these tiny little streets in Philly. And I remember you had to get out of the car and look to make sure I could make it in certain areas.
Oh, because some of those where the neighborhoods we were working in, the streets were so tight.
Yes.
And you had no turning radius to do it. So it wasn't that the truck couldn't make it down, it was that the ladder was so long.
Yeah. And then I would fold, they had there was 2 rows of seats, the front and then the middle. So I'd fold those down and I would put all the paint stuff in the back.
Yeah.
And then the problem was if anything spilled, you would smell it. And there's no separation. And then I remember if I had to slam on the brakes, paint poles would come flying forward and would kind of go between the shotgun seat and my driver's seat and almost poke me in the arm.
Oh,
so if I ever get in an accident, I'm done because all the stuff is going to just fly forward and nail me in the back of the head.
Yeah, you're going to take a 6-inch spackle blade to your throat,
or a roller pan or whatever was back there, a paint can to the head.
Yeah.
Super safe.
They always do those. I remember seeing those crash tests where they put stuff in your back seat, or a sedan where they have that part that's behind the back seats, on the window.
Yes.
People will put stuff there, and then they'll crash the car at 60, and then they watch the stuff come and fly into it, and you're oh. We would have been.
That would have been me.
It would have just been a pile of trash, and I think the worst part of that vehicle is when you used to do gutter cleanings and you left a bag in there. That thing rotted. It smelled so bad in there.
I didn't know what was so smelly in the back of my car. What stinks back here? Something's rotten. I kept looking, and it was just filled with crap. And then I remember it was a week of just smelling horrible. Dude, this stinks. Because you would ride with me to the job sometimes.
Yeah,
in the same truck.
Then I was yeah, I'll take my car.
You'll take your, yeah. And then I found it was buried underneath the wheel well. Inside was a big bag of stinky leaves. It was the worst. And the top craziest thing that happened was, well, not the craziest. I did a couple. Well, I was going to school and working at the same time. Mm-hmm. And so I would go work 3 days a week, 4 days a week, and then go to school Tuesdays and Thursdays. And I was all right. And I would have to redo, get my books and all that stuff. So I drove to school. I was living at home, commuting to school. And I got to school. I went to class, came back, and I'm looking at my truck. Hey, man, that truck looks a lot like mine. They got a ladder on it. That's kind of cool. And then I got closer, and I'm oh, my God, there's a ladder on my truck. I had no idea there was a ladder in my truck, and that doesn't seem bad. I didn't have any ropes. I didn't have anything on there. Because what I would do, and this was not a good idea, is when I was done with the ladder, I would just untie it, and then okay, I'm going to untie it all, and then take it down. So I untied it, but then I got distracted, went inside, got my books, came out, thought I took the ladder off my truck, and I drove 20 minutes with there's no bungee cords, there's no ties, there's nothing. Mm-hmm. So the only thing that was holding this thing on was gravity and the grace of God. Because I had no idea, because I was just driving there was no ladder on my truck.
Right.
I had no idea it was there, and I was freaking out. I'm oh my God, I cannot believe there's a ladder on here. And so I had to scrounge through my truck, and I think I found two bungee cords in my truck, and I tied it on I tied it up and made it home all right. But I drove 20 minutes with just a ladder set on my GMC Jimmy ladder racks. That was it.
Yeah, and those were not the grippiest ladder racks.
No,
So
I just must have been perfectly balanced. But I just was driving normal.
yeah, yeah, it's not a good look. Well, it's like you felt like you closed the ticket when you
Yeah,
got out
yeah.
there.
So I've learned. I've had a ladder fall off my truck a few times. So yeah,
Yeah,
lost the ladder that way.
yeah. When it went off on 309, was that because something snapped or you didn't tie it down?
Well, I got a little. Well, after that incident, I'm like, well, I don't need to tie it down too much. I'm just going to use two bungees. So I'm like, two bungees works. And I remember I was driving.
That's the best lesson to learn from
Yeah,
that.
I was driving down this crazy, highway called 309 where we live, and I must have had like I might have had more than one ladder on there. I was going to do a pressure washing, and I do I don't know. It just went. I hear this scraping. I'm like, oh no, what's going on here? And I hear bang bang, and the ladder just falls right off my truck. And like I just had one hand on the wheel. Of course, I was just drinking like a Starbucks or whatever.
Yeah.
So I just pull over, and then my ladder's laying across a lane and a half of the 2-lane highway. And it's like early in the morning, so I was like, okay, I'm just gonna run out and get it. So I run out there like Barry Sanders style, try to get it, but then this SUV comes like, ugh, and I turn around and I sprint back across the road, and it goes bang bang, and it hits the ladder. It's like, okay, so I try it again. I'm like, and the ladder looked okay, and the car didn't stop. So like, thank God he didn't stop. So I
Yeah.
run back out there, and I'm trying to grab. As soon as I touch the ladder, I look, and there's a car coming because it's kind of around a corner, and they're going like 65, 70 miles an
Oh
hour.
yeah, people are flying.
And I run back, and bang bang hits that one, and like these cars just ran it over, and it was fine. This was like a 24-foot ladder. And then I run back. I'm like, okay, I gotta get this thing. A cop rolls up and flips on the lights. Whoop whoop. I was like, sweet. And so he blocks it off so I can run out there. I grab it and I pull it back. I'm like, oh man, he's gonna give me a ticket.
Yeah.
So he pulls over. He's like, excuse me, sir. It's like, just make sure next time you secure that ladder. It's like, what you need to do is there's a Home Depot right there. Go buy some rope. He said, rope, not bungees. He says, rope, and tie that thing off. He's like, don't put that in your truck right now. Come back and put it on your truck.
Oh, good.
So the ladder was trashed. It was completely bent. He's like, and I need your info because if these people complain, I'm going to bring them right back to you.
Yep.
But thank the Lord, nobody complained. Man, that sucked.
All right, so that was like early on, and then you went from that to when did you get your next truck?
I did a lease for a Nissan Frontier.
Okay, what year was that Frontier?
'07.
It was in '07. Okay,
Something like that. '07, '06, '05, one of those. So a Nissan Frontier, and I remember the first week I got it, I put paint, like I had a 5-gallon of paint, which I put in the back. I'm like, yeah, it's fine. And I didn't strap it down and do anything. And the bed's really slick back there. It was a 6-foot bed, which was nice, but it was just a 2-door. And man, I remember I was driving for like I almost had to move it like 2 miles, this paint, and it flops over. And as soon as I pull into the job site, paint is going glug, 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 all over my brand new bed. It's just pouring out the back. I'm like, son of a bee. And I just get drop cloths and just try to like stop it. And it was just, I'm like, oh, way to ruin your truck bed in like 3 weeks.
the first one. Yeah.
Yeah. It was before my cap. I ordered a cap and it didn't come in yet. And I was just waiting for it to come in, but I didn't know it was the physics of the truck bed is you need to have something to stop it from moving.
Yes. Yeah. We didn't have all the trash in there to keep it secure.
Yeah. Because you didn't have a paint vehicle, right? In the beginning.
So when we were starting out and you had your Jimmy, I had an '05 Subaru Impreza.
Yes.
So stick shift.
Yes.
And that was lovely because my first car, like from like high school and stuff, was in 1987 BMW 735i, which looked cool.
Especially in the rain.
But and I was like a janitor and stuff, and I would pull in that car. But it just like it broke all the time, and everything that broke on it was like $900 to fix, which was a big deal when I was a young lad and had no money.
Yes.
And then when I went to college, I think when I was a freshman, you weren't allowed to have a car. And then I talked to our dad and I was like, hey, if I don't get a car, I'm going to kill everyone here. And he's like, yeah, let's get you. So he got me like an exemption, so I could get a car. And then I got that '05 Subaru, which was so nice comparative
It was
to,
brand new
oh,
too.
so
Yeah, yeah.
sweet. And it cost me like the lease payment was so low, so I just like that was great. And so that's what I rocked around with when we were kind of first going around, which was great.
You weren't bringing money paint
I didn't
materials.
trash mine out. I just had
Yeah.
like my paint
You just
bag,
put stuff in the trunk.
and I kind of did college with that vehicle, and then I think after I graduate, yeah, because I got my first like work truck was a 2009 Toyota Tacoma, and it was a black 4 door with the 6 foot bed, and that was a great truck. So, and I got a cap on it, and then I was. So like the history between Josh and I is Josh doesn't like to spend money or buy cool stuff, and then I buy cool stuff, and then Josh is like, "Where'd you get that cool thing?" And then he copies me on the next thing he buys, which is what happens.
You do all the research for me. It's great.
So, and then I had, so when you had your Frontier, it wasn't a 2 door. It was like a 2 door where you had those little
Well, it had a jump seats in the back.
it had
so
jump
there's-
seats, and you had the doors that opened the other way, like
Yeah.
the little half doors or whatever.
I count it as a 2-door because you could barely put anything in the back.
Yeah, but it was
I could
like
put a bag.
You had like a little bit of space behind there,
Yeah.
but then when you got your cap, when you got your cap on your truck, you only had those side windows didn't open.
Yep.
And I was like, that sucks because
You had
it's
to
like
crawl all the way in the back to get it.
and like with a
Get your
and the
stuff.
bed was like decently deep in that truck
Yeah,
too.
it was-
Like it was great.
6-foot
So,
bed.
but so it's like hard to get the stuff, and you're always like scurrying over like a mound of trash to get the stuff and whatever. I was like, okay. So when I got my Tacoma, I got I got the windows that actually open up on the sides, which just made it so much easier to get to
are
everything.
great.
So that was sweet. And then, I think, my next truck was a 2011 Tacoma, it was like same exact truck, but I got a TRD Sport because I wanted the hood scoop, because that was gonna be cool. And it was like silver 4 door with, and then I was able to. I think the dealership actually took my cap and got it painted, and they just because it was like a deal. They wanted to sell me this
You
truck.
wanted to get a new fancy truck, even though your old one was perfectly fine.
Yeah, and they really wanted to. They wanted my truck really bad, like the Tacoma. So they gave me
Okay.
a good deal on getting into the new one. So then I rocked around in that silver one for quite a while, and then you had your Frontier for a long time. So you had it from like because you bought it out, I think.
I did. So I leased it to start because when you lease, the payments are a bit less.
Yeah,
You do pay higher sales tax, which you find out. But I was like, I just want to get into this inexpensively. And then when the lease ran up after 3 years, I bought it out. And the math made sense where the payment was super low to buy it out.
Yeah.
And I think I usually would end up paying it off early.
yeah.
I'm not a big debt guy, and so I paid it off early, and then I had it, and then it was great, and I took it to about 114,000 miles, and then it just died.
Well, you got the what the Nissan people call a milkshake, which is where the radiator fluid leaks into the transmission fluid, and like combines, and then the transmission just goes.
Yeah, so I was remember riding, and it just lost all power, and I just coasted into some rando place,
Yeah.
like it was an insurance building, and I'm like, what's going on? And then I had to get towed, or maybe I don't even know what happened to it, but anyway, it was just done. Like it was completely totaled, and my car lost all value overnight. And then I remember went to Nissan, like, oh yeah, this kind of happens for this vehicles for Pathfinders and Frontiers of a certain of my model.
Yep.
And I was warranted up to 100,000. I think I was like 113 or 115. I'm like,
Yeah.
you guys could have let me know, and I would have dumped this thing
Yeah.
like 6 months earlier, a year earlier. And so they're like, well, you want to get a new one, a Frontier? I'm like, no.
No, I do not.
And then the big deal was I knew I wanted 4 doors. That was the big thing because at this point we were well established in our paint business. I was doing this full time. You're full time with me. You're a partner in the business.
Yep.
And I think I was even married at this point. But I was like, I need a 4-door vehicle.
Yeah, because my Tacoma was 4 doors.
Yeah, and that was the big So when you have a 4-door, the nice thing is because when you run a paint company or construction, you can either have a work vehicle and a personal vehicle, or I could just combine it. And the best combo we found was truck, 6-foot bed, cap on it, because then you can put any ladder. We could get all the stuff in there, and a 4-door truck. Because
Yep.
then you could put other people in it for traveling, and it's pretty big in there. And the
Yep.
nice thing with the Tacoma at the time, and still probably now, is that it wasn't so big that we couldn't park in residential areas, or even we would do some city work, and it
Right.
wasn't so big that we couldn't get anywhere, but it was not so small that like it worked for us.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of the trade-off too with what I want to talk about is like kind of if you had to build out another truck now, what would you like where would you go with that? But like we'll stay with what we have right now because a personal vehicle and a work truck, it just really depends on what your work truck is like. If you're rocking around in a van, you probably want something else. But then like if you have a wife, then they have a car,
Yeah.
and that kind of becomes your rock around car.
And extra insurance.
Yeah.
If you have two, I'd rather have just one vehicle than two
Yeah.
if I can make that work.
And then from a business perspective, and this might not be the best way to do it, what we have found is that we just write off our mileage for business wise. Because I mean, guys that are watching this are probably painting professionally
Yes.
or aspiring to. And there's like probably we haven't really found a better way. I don't know how much time we've spent on it as far as like because guys will do it where they like. I know you can write off the depreciation and that kind of stuff if the business owns the vehicle, but then you can get into like gray areas where you're really only supposed to be using the vehicle for business uses. So then, if you're just driving around doing it just becomes like a little bit messy if you start to, take your vehicle down to vacation or something. You're not supposed to do that.
Yeah, so now even if you like some of the when you're growing your business, like everyone's like, oh, you got to get a truck and you expense it, like a big truck,
Yeah.
because there's special write-offs and stuff. But it's still an expense, and if you can have one vehicle instead of two, then that's one less that's one less inspection. You have to get your couple extra less oil changes, and then it's less car insurance because like if you don't use your car, you still have to pay car insurance for it.
And then don't you have to like if you get a business because I know we looked into this before. If you get a work truck that's for like owned by your business or whatever, however it's under that umbrella, isn't the insurance more?
A lot of
personal?
times, because if you're on the commercial, like hey, a business owned this, it's all commercial, and a lot of times the insurance is a bit higher. Like, oh, this is a commercial use vehicle.
Yeah.
Like our vehicles now, they're just like yeah, it's just our daily driver.
Yeah.
It's normal insurance, normal everything. And the nice thing is we don't have to maintain an extra vehicle. Unless you really want to do that, which guys will do that, and then they'll have their own work truck or their own work vehicle. But I'd rather just spend less money on, depreciating assets and keep more money.
Yeah.
I like keeping the money.
Yeah, so then after your Frontier went kaputs, you went and you got a 2015 Toyota Tacoma
Yes.
TRD Sport white, and that's like that's still what you have right now.
It is.
How many miles are on that thing?
119 or so.
Okay.
It's been the best truck I've ever owned.
So, because that's like
Paid off.
Yeah.
And I just outfitted like you outfitted your truck. Mm-hmm. So we've had issues with our caps leaking. My Frontier cap never leaked, but this one does a little bit.
Yep.
But overall, it has been.
You're gonna need to get a new cap
I know,
soon.
I know.
Yeah.
But it's like he's still working right now.
Barely.
Barely,
Barely. Dude, your crossbars are starting to come off.
it's just another two to $3,000 I'd rather keep for a while.
Josh waits until something like legitimately just explodes before he replaces it. So, and then I had my you have the truck. I had my 2011 Tacoma for a while, and then I was like just feeling dumb. I like change and I like to upgrade and do stuff. And then I was like, okay, I'm gonna like make this truck cool. And also I had done because it was that truck. Josh and I were roommates living together, and we're brothers, so it's whatever. And then we're not weird. I mean, we are a little weird,
Yeah, a little
but and then we were like fight training together, paint training, all like doing all this stuff, and like painting, doing jiu-jitsu, Muay Thai, all that stuff. And then you had the audacity to start dating a woman, and I was like, oh. And then I knew you were gonna marry that chick, which you did. And
We had 3 kids.
I was so mad because we were saving to like buy a house
Yeah.
and like invest in a house, and then I was like out of like spite and fury, I bought like an $8,000 stereo and had it installed in my truck. It's sick. I still have it in my truck I have now.
Yeah, but 3 months after I started dating my girl, you started dating now your wife.
I did.
So there you
I
go.
did.
Now
I
you have
did.
2
I
kids.
probably wouldn't have pulled the trigger on that stereo if I knew how expensive she was gonna be. But but then what I did later is that I was like, okay, I needed like new tires and a bunch of stuff. So I was like, my buddy had like a normal mechanic shop, like not specializing in what I'm talking about now. So I was like, I'll get new rims and like kind of beefier tires and stuff. So I did that, and then I didn't. Now I know way more about modifying vehicles. So this is dumb if anyone is listening to this that like knows about cars and stuff. I didn't do like a leveling kit, and there's like other things you need to do. You really need to like make sure things are balanced if you're gonna put bigger tires on your truck. You don't want to just do that. It ruined the ride quality. And
Yes.
and I think it like bent something in the frame, or just it started riding really poorly. And I was like, ooh. And so I had them like swap everything back to stock. And I think we were able to like return the rims and stuff because I barely had them on there for any amount of time. And then I bought a 2017 Tacoma, which was the Gen 3. It was like the second year of that
Yeah.
model. But I got it like exactly how I wanted it. Murdered out. It was all black. I had my stereo put in it. I got a new cap with like the side windows that open up, and that's what I have right now. And that vehicle has been that like all the Tacomas I've had zero issues with, unless I screwed with it. And like one of our beefs that I talk about all the time now is like if you had to buy a work truck right now, like, and that's kind of the thing we talked about before is like what do we want to work out of? And I don't like working out of, although I haven't tried. I haven't worked out of like a van.
Yeah.
And then there's all kinds of vans that are out now. You have like the ones from Ram and like, pick a company, Ram, Chevy, Ford. They all have like different vans you can get. A lot of the carpenters we work with, they have kind of the like the tall vans because you have a lot of space to like rock around in there. And then they usually have like shelves and some
Yep.
kind of storage thing that's next to it. And then I've noticed a lot of some painters have the little like more squattier like lower vans because
Yeah.
with painting, unless you're doing some kind of like where you need to rack like a crazy amount of ladders, like you ever see a roofing van
Good
or a
lord.
roofing truck,
Yeah.
they're like weighted down. They have just stacks and
Stacks of
stacks of
ladders.
ladders. So like they're driving like like a 3500, like some
It's
huge
the big boys.
truck to like that can
Yeah,
support
yeah.
all that weight. Painting, you don't. You have gear, but it's not usually like. First off, the tools aren't that expensive, and then it's not usually super heavy, unless you're leaving a lot of ladders racked all the time, which we typically don't. We rack our
If you do
ladders and then,
exterior all the time, or
Yeah.
you're shipping planks around,
or like
scaffold, yeah, that kind of stuff. Yeah.
So, but like, I'm just with a. And I probably the most ubiquitous painter vehicle is a van. Like that's
Yep.
kind of what. But the thing I don't like about them is that usually the cabin where you actually sit and drive is separate from it's not separated from all the stuff in the back.
Yes.
And if it is, you still have it's usually open as far as like sometimes they have like a grate across it or like a
Yeah.
cage.
Yeah.
But if you have what I don't like about that is that if you have solvents or you have like how many times has stuff spilled over in the
Mineral
back
spirits.
mineral spirits,
Stain.
acetone, any of that
Even
stuff.
rags back there, they
Rags,
reek.
stuff can stink, and then you're like driving around in that. I like being separated from that stuff. So because I'm kind of always I like vehicles and getting new stuff, but I don't I right now I still don't have a better solution than basically some sort of truck with a cap on it. So if you were like if my truck exploded today and I like had to go get do you know what you would try and get right now if you had to go if your truck exploded and then you had to go
No,
buy a new one?
I would just be like, can we save my current truck and maybe redo some things on the inside? Because I love my truck. There's not much technology in it,
Right.
and it's not like Banks is. We got like a newer car with with my wife and my when kid number 3 came.
Yep.
And there's so many bings and it just all this assistance stuff, and I would turn it all off, and then it'll start beeping for no reason because it thinks a kid's in the back. I'm like, dude, mine has a key turn still, like not even a button you push.
Yeah, yeah.
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, I mean that's
It just works.
and a lot. So like, I think my Tacoma when I got it was like 38 or something, which is like had a decent amount of stuff on it.
Mine was 33. But I was
33.
2015.
Yeah. So and then now, if you were just trying to replace it with a Tacoma, which I've driven the new ones because they like the place I get my truck service, that's their kind of their loaner vehicles or the new Tacomas. They like smushed that truck, like it's cramped inside. They made the cab like the back seats almost don't exist even in the 4-door, and they're like it's like 50 grand for
Yeah.
our trim level.
Yeah.
And we're recording this in 2026 right now. And then if anyone's punched around and looked at like, because I've thought about for my family because it is my like daily driver as well. And then you have kids. That's the thing too, is like you're not going to throw kids in a work van
No.
where like you have a cabin where you have 4 doors that's completely isolated from all the crap in the back. Like I'm like, okay, I would want some more cabin space, so I've thought about upgrading to like a full size truck, which would be like the 15 like a Tundra or whatever. But the new Tundras have a what's happening now is that they're making the engines smaller. They're putting 2 turbos on them, and they're having all kinds of issues because of all the regulations and things are supposed to have better mileage and blah 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 blah. And then they're having a lot of problems with these, bi-turbo 6-cylinder engines that are not reliable. The gas mileage still isn't great. And then you have to make sure you service them. Like you cannot miss an oil change or that thing will explode. And the Tundras have had like an insane amount of recalls, which that's probably the biggest a bummer because the Gen 2 Tundras was like was it's still lauded as one of the most reliable trucks ever made. With the V8 they had in that vehicle. So like I was like, dang, I should have gotten one of those on the because it's like a full size and that
Yeah.
truck was just bulletproof and there's not that much going on. So if you're looking to get a new truck, I would look at like the 2nd gen Tundra is a good move. And then now if I had to go get something, Ram has a really good warranty. And in 2027 they're bringing back the Hemi V8, which they have a high output and a standard output twin turbo V6 in all of their 1500s right now, but the jury's kind of out on that as to whether or not those are going to explode. They tend to like overheat when you tow and do
Yeah.
stuff. And then what like if I watch a lot of YouTube where like mechanics are talking about the internals and they're like if you are a person that is turning your truck off and on a lot and running a lot of errands, the twin turbo V6 is like not great. Which I'm like, that's like all we do is like
Yeah.
you drive your truck around a lot. Like it's not always just like, oh, I just start up once and then I cruise on the highway and then cut it off. So yeah, I'm like right now I'm just gonna hold on to my truck because I have I'm a little less mileage than you. I'm like 105,000, something like that. But still no issues. It's pulling strong. No,
Get you from A to B, man. It
so,
works.
but I've thought about. I think this is probably the trade off that some guys might think about too. Is that if you have like if you're not going to do a van, I don't really know the alternative besides like you kind of either have van or truck would be the working vehicle you'd be looking into. You could technically get like the only other thing is you could get like a box truck, so you could get like a Ford 250 or 350
Yeah.
and then have some kind of custom box built on the back.
Yep.
Which I've seen guys have those.
It's not. It's an investment.
Those are very expensive.
Yeah.
Like my buddy Trevor has one for his tile business.
Yeah.
But he's hauling around like he's got a lot of tools and stuff. Where
Saws and all that stuff.
saws and you got to have they have like a canopy they pull out and all that jazz. I think a lot of painters are probably rocking some sort of pickup truck where they can clear the bed out and haul different things. Because even us, like, we'll clear out all our stuff and we'll put the baker scaffold in your truck and bring it to the job site. or a pressure washer or whatever.
You just got to be able to bring what you need to the job.
Yeah.
And it's also better if you're like, hey, my monthly car payment is, say, if it's $500 versus, oh, now I have two vehicles, now it's $800. Doesn't make you any money if you're like, two vehicles is more expensive than one. That's what it
Yes.
comes down. It's a
Yep.
it's an asset. It's not an asset. It's a liability as
Yeah.
far as an investment goes. Not like, oh, I own two shares of Microsoft instead of one. It's like, no, this thing is going down in value. It just costs you money, but you need to be able to get your supplies and ladders and scaffolding to the job. And then if you like have a crew of dudes, like yeah, that's when like we know the bigger crews have a couple work trucks.
Yep.
And then they're getting the vans with all the stuff on it, and they like two guys will take it and come back.
Yep. Yep.
Depends on where you are in your business journey.
Yeah, and also I would say having a truck that's four-wheel drive and then a cap on the back is it's the most useful vehicle I've ever owned. It's so useful. We use it all the time to like haul stuff around for our kids, pick stuff up,
And if your family members find out, they're like, "Oh,
Oh,
you have a
man.
truck with a cap," because then comes. I'm like usually loading up at someone's house for all the stuff.
and then I have a hard rule that I do not help anyone move.
Oh, you have a truck and a cap? Sweet.
Truck and a cap be like, "Oh yeah, you come help." I'm like, "Nope." I'm
Yeah.
like, "Listen, I don't do this anymore because I have a family and I have crap to do, but like now I'm just like, I'll help. I'll paint something when you move into your spot, but I'm not moving anything. That's just not something I enjoy.
We got asked to move a lot because we were young, strapping men with two trucks.
Yes, and if you're a painter, you're basically a semi-professional furniture mover as well because you're
Yes.
always going to be moving crap around people's homes. But I'll throw this out there for guys that are in the market for a new vehicle. One of the trucks, which even though we crapped on it earlier, the new Nissan Frontier is a really solid platform. They've pretty much ironed out all of the chinks in that truck, and it's kind of one of the last V6 standard. There's not a lot on it. It is just a truck. You can get a 6.5 foot bed, like quad cab truck, and they make plenty of caps for that vehicle. And it's our dad just got one.
Yep.
And it's a great truck. It's nothing fancy. There's not a lot of tech on it. There's not stuff that dings and bings and does all kinds of crap. So like that's a good platform. And then if I was going to whatever truck I would get the quad cab, get the biggest cab you can get, the biggest bed you can get, like at least 6.5 foot.
Minimum 6 foot.
And then the caps, been a lot of improvements in caps since Josh and I got the ones that we have now. I would take a look at Smart Cap. They're not a sponsor or anything. That's just kind of where I would go. They're a little more expensive, but they're made. Their whole pitch is like it's made like a truck, not a boat, because most of the caps, like the caps that we have, are fiberglass, which they don't hold up as long as your truck does.
Yeah.
Because they just tend to leak and all that. But the Smart Cap is made from metal, and then the way you can rig that out, the one I would do, I think it's called the Adventurer, where it has the side windows are not windows. They're just solid metal, and they take up way more height from the side of the cap, and they open up a lot, so it's like super easy to get into stuff. And you can put bins in the side where you can actually have shelves that pull out on the side of your truck, and you can do it on both sides or one side.
Nice.
So that gives you a lot of utility still, and you can have the Rhino racks on them, which are the racks that I have on my cap, and those are great racks. They're very grippy, and they're just like super sturdy. But that Smart Cap is sick, and then they just have some cool features that you can do with that, and they only come in like a matte black, but it looks cool. Like it's very like kind of aggressive looking. But my buddy has one on his F-150, and it looks cool, and it just gives you a lot of space, very durable, and you can lock it. There's a lot of good like safety features in there. And then if you want to go with something that has even more kind of specialty use, Decked has these drawer systems that install in the bed of your truck.
Ooh.
And they go all the way to the back, so you can pull them out and have that was something I was looking into. Just the problem with any of those organizer things is you start losing a lot of bed space.
Mm-hmm.
So it tends to be better. You can be a little bit more organized, but then you lose some utility for perhaps things that aren't painting, or if you have to fit something tall like a pressure washer or something, you're going to lose a little headroom in there. So that's my hot take on, just like, if you were going to build out a truck, that's kind of what I would go for.
And not get a van.
I wouldn't get a van, because also most of the vans, like, your 4-wheel drive is really nice, because
Yeah.
we're in the Northeast. We get a lot of weather, and we just go straight out in the snow when we.
Yeah, we never have to take off because of snow.
Yeah, and if you're in a rear-wheel drive van,
Yeah,
you're on
good
the
luck.
a lot of the guys that are in that setup, they don't make it to the job site, and they're just taking the day off. So that's
Yeah.
kind of.
Well, the nice thing is you don't have to, when you have a van, you pretty much going to have to get another car.
Yeah.
And it's just nice. Like, I can just take my truck out, just filled with paint stuff in the back, but I just shut the cap and it's fine. And I can do whatever else I want to do. And it's just one set of insurance.
Yeah. Josh is just concerned with keeping the payments low, which I totally understand.
Yeah,
But
well, I like keeping more money than spending it, because people have, like, do you ever see the YouTube videos where, what's your truck payment? Like $1,200, $1,300. Like, good luck with that.
well, I mean, now, shit, if you got a new truck now, I mean, the Tacomas, that's what's nice about the Frontier. The new Frontiers, you can get a loaded Frontier for like 40, which is
Pretty darn good
super
for right
reasonable.
now. Yeah.
But like, I've priced the new 1500, the new Tundras, the all these F-150s, bro, you're gonna spend 65, 70 on, like, not even
And they're not as reliable.
Not even a
if you could take it to 150, 200,000 miles with, like, hey, no problem, then it's worth the investment. But if it's gonna poop out on you at 100K, what a waste of money.
yeah.
But if that's the only option, what can you do?
Yeah, so that's it. And then they're stacking more and more tech in these things, which you don't need.
No,
So
you just want it to work, man. You don't want it to be a problem.
yeah, that's the last thing. I just want my truck to cut on and get me there. And then I would just say, if you're kind of starting out, just work with whatever you have, and then check out the used market.
Yes, the used market. I know all the big contractors, like, I get my truck used from this person over here, and there's more maintenance sometimes, but
I mean, depends on what you. I mean, if
you bought a 10-year-old truck
Yes.
for $10,000, which our buddy Nick just got one for his crew.
okay,
Yeah, he's like, I'm paying $13,000 for it, but
Right.
it's not $60,000.
yeah, you can.
There's a little more margin. Like, you can put another 10 into it, and you're still doing better.
Yeah, and especially a lot of the new fancy trucks have a ton of recalls, so then you're constantly bringing it back to the dealership.
Yeah.
Well, now you don't have your truck to work out of, and that's a big pain in the ass, because that's costing you money. It's costing you money to go get a service, and then it's costing you money because you're not in the field working.
And you don't have all your stuff.
So we just want it to not be a problem. So that's kind of my Josh hears me prattle on about trucks and how pissed off I am about all these for.
Well, they've gotten more expensive, and they've gotten less reliable.
Yeah.
That's two things you don't want to happen.
And it used to be they got better and better every year, and then with all these regulations, which they have rolled it back somewhat because they've relaxed a bit, but yeah, there's no, like, top of the heap, like, oh man, I so want that right now.
But the Frontier is a good choice if you're kind of looking best bang for your buck and reliability from what we've seen so far.
Yeah, or a previous gen Tacoma. The new Tacomas, I heard they're very reliable. I just don't like the powertrain on that. They're really burbly and annoying. Like, the engine's constantly doing stuff. But like I guess it's a Gen 3 Tacoma, the one that I have. Those are great, especially the ones that are a little bit in the later production runs. That's a great truck. They're still really pricey for what they are, but those are, like, built like a brick shit house. And then Gen 2 Tundra, great move if you want a little bit bigger platform. And then, like, the new Frontier. That's kind of like my hot take. Also, the last gen Nissan Titan, which they don't make anymore, but they got those trucks dialed. It is just a stupid V8. And there's nothing on that truck.
Just works.
It's just a stereo and there's not a lot of problems with those vehicles. So, and then if you get into the American stuff, you really have to do your due diligence on what powertrain you're getting with the transmission and the engine and all of that. So that's my hot take on all of that. But no, I'm not real excited about. I'm really looking at minivans right now. So that's my next little foray. So should we go to the Goo News?
Goo News. So Goo News is for the folks who have joined the Goo Crew. And so if you're listening to this and you haven't joined the Goo Crew, do it. It's going to be awesome. It's hosted on School. And we have a lot of guys in here commenting. So we have Travis Dixon. He was commenting on should he spray or brush and roll an exterior, and a bunch of guys chimed in, gave their 2 cents, and then he went, and he's more of a brush and roller guy, but he bought a brand new sprayer, which a lot of people have.
Yep.
And he said, I just went with brush and rolling because I knew I could deliver it and it would work, kind of go percentage win. So he did it, and then he's like, at the odds of me getting more work from this guy are high, so he didn't want to screw it up.
Yeah.
So he did that, and then
Well, he was considering spraying,
yes,
right?
he considering spraying because a lot of guys have bought a sprayer and they're like, I have one. Now, we did that too, but now I feel like I should spray, but I haven't sprayed much. So it's kind of one of those things where like, where are you going to take the plunge and try it? And then if it doesn't go well, which we've had some not go well, had a few go well. And then you're like, I don't want to screw this job up versus I know like my batting average at brush and roll are super high.
Yeah, and there are jobs that, are better to be sprayed,
Yes.
but just for the guys listening, our buddy Nick has a crew of like 20 and
22 guys.
He's got like 15 sprayers, and we were talking to him the other day like, how much are you spraying right now? He's like, barely at all.
Yeah.
So like
they do all kinds of work.
You don't have to.
No.
Is what I'm saying. Like,
and then our guy Todd in the group, he was awesome and showed a picture of his work truck. Since we're speaking about trucks, and I think he wins for most stuff packed in there, and probably has to do a little reorganization. And
Dude,
I sent him a picture of mine. Mine's bad right now, but it's not as bad as Todd, so that was pretty good.
Josh is routinely disgusting, which is odd because I feel like you're a little bit more organized than I am, but I think I've surpassed you recently.
It's
like
just I just haven't put the time to like clean it out and get back to it. You're good about cleaning out your truck. You're very good about
it bothers me. I
know.
like it to be nice, particularly in the cabin, but like even I've just because if we're working so much right now, the cleaner your stuff is, the less crap you have in there, the more organized you are, the faster you're going to get through the work. And then I've started to eliminate the things in my truck that I am not using. And I've been like way more ruthless with like culling things that I'm not using so that I have less stuff
You've
that
been a lot better at that.
So I
than
try
me.
and keep, usually you need some like bins in there to store and things, but I've just cut down the amount of stuff in there and it's been going way better. So that's my hot take. But yeah, Todd needs to drive that thing to a dumpster and just get like, he should do like a J turn and e-brake it with the bed open and the cap open and just let it all slide out.
Start over. And then we'll end with James Biernat. I might be mispronouncing that. He was doing a cabinet estimate and he was wondering if he should spray it or roll it, I believe. And there's like 11 comments from a bunch of guys in the group. And then he ended up going with brush and roller. And I believe it turned out well. I'm kind of scrolling to the bottom.
Did he say what product he used?
I'm not.
Because I think I gave him a few
He
products.
used gallery primer and gallery paint, brush and rolled the boxes and face frames. And then, he sprayed the doors.
Okay.
So, that's what he did. And then he had some pictures of it. Actually, you know what? That was Todd. Sorry, that was Todd explaining what he did because he sprays cabinets.
Yeah.
So Todd was showing pictures. Sorry, he was commenting to James. So it was just cool as guys will kind of go back and forth and say like, "What are you doing?" And then I will be releasing a pricing module in the classroom, first one this week. So before on vacation.
Are you actually going to do that?
I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna get it done, and it's gonna be out there. It's like
the brief history of this podcast is Josh telling people he's going to build the thing, and then he's like, "Oh, I guess that's not what I'm going to do."
Yeah. So it's on there. It's on my list. It's gonna get done before I go on vacation.
All right.
So I promise it will be there.
Cool. Yeah, and I'll say with like the cabinets and stuff, those ones, if you're spraying cabinets is like a pretty technical thing to do. Like you can really screw that up. And it just depends on how deep you want to take that, but you can get pretty far with brush and roller. Ben shellac and emerald urethane are a great combo. And then, like Todd uses gallery. Gallery is spray only. And I've used that product I used it on a big job where I sprayed. What's nice about gallery is they tuned that paint to go through an HVLP sprayer, especially the newer HVLPs that spray. They're like 11.5 PSI. And that's not as daunting of a thing as like an airless. You're not going to go through as much product. There's way less overspray. And it's like a specialty product where you kind of need to use all of the things that you kind of need to use, like the gallery all the way through. And they have clear coats in that product as well. So that's a real solid option if you're looking for that. And the HVLP sprayer, especially the new ones, are way better than they used to be. They used to really suck. So that's my hot take on that. I'm sure we'll get into that later on a different podcast.
Yeah.
So cool. If you haven't checked out the Goo Crew, and there's less than 150 people in there when you're listening to this, first 150 people get in there for free. Link is in the description and all of that jazz, but check it out. We're always in there. Josh is very judicious about getting back to people, and everyone's chopping it up, talking about how to be a better paint contractor.
Mm-hmm.
So anything else, brother?
That's all.
Alrighty. Well, until next time, y'all take it easy, work smart, and have a good one. Peace.